this facility. This day, we'd ask a blessing on those that are charged with making decisions, that they will be filled with compassion and charity, and that those that are sharing information will be able to do so effectively. We say these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just for information, those that signed the personal appearance sheet, the Sienna Village is not on the agenda tonight. It was taken off. And you can still speak with your 3 minutes when we're ready. Okay, now we have a presentation from the Natural Resource Stewardship Committee. And we have Quinn Meekum, and the Stewardship Committee can come up and do the presentation.
Hello, Mayor and Council. My name is Quinn Meekum, and I represent the Orem Natural Resources Stewardship Committee this evening. We also have Sarah Bateman from our committee in attendance. This year, 2021, marks our inaugural year of the city giving Natural Resources Stewardship Awards to businesses in the city that we feel have done an exemplary job in providing natural resources leadership. We have 2 awards to give tonight. The first award is to R.C. Willey. R.C. Willey's branch in Orem, led by General Manager Larry Smalley, works hard to conserve resources in the community. They have a large recycling program that recycles foam and cardboard with a compressor, as well as large items that are very difficult to recycle in other places, such as televisions, appliances, and mattresses. Again, very difficult to recycle elsewhere in the community. R.C. Willey is a leader in energy conservation as well. Although they have a large footprint, they have LED and motion sensor lighting throughout the store, abundant skylights for natural light, motion activated doors to preserve heat, swamp coolers instead of air conditioning in the warehouse, and both swing doors and sealed doors that conserve heat in spaces that connect the interior and exterior of their building. Our committee sees R.C. Willey as a leader in both recycling and energy conservation in Orem. And I'd like to invite Manager Larry Smalley to come up and receive an award. The award reads, the City of Orem congratulates R.C. Willey for leadership in preserving natural resources 2021. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Do you want to shake hands with the council?
Yes. Do you want to come up and shake hands with the council? That'd be great if you would, please.
Very much.
Thank you, Larry, for that leadership in our community. Our second award this evening is an award that goes to Uncle Sam's Army Navy Outdoor. Uncle Sam's Army Navy Outdoor is an Orem built business led by owner and manager Danny Ashby. Uncle Sam's is a community icon that has built recycling directly into its business model, from using a repurposed Quonset hut as the main store to accepting and selling used goods. Uncle Sam's accepts previously used military gear, and about 40% of its goods sold were previously owned. Even the bags that are used to put purchases in at checkout have been previously used. Additionally, the store is completely powered by solar panels and utilizes a gas generator in case of a power outage. Uniquely, Uncle Sam's has a greenhouse and garden in the rear of the store that grows fruit, peaches, plums, pears, as well as vegetables such as tomatoes and rhubarb, much of which is placed by the front door and offered free of charge to members of the community that may need food assistance. The NRSC sees Uncle Sam's Army Navy Outdoor as a model for recycling, repurposing, energy efficiency, local food production, and independent sustainability. We have here tonight Danny Ashby's manager, as well as Peggy, who also works at the store, and invite you to come forward to receive an award.
So Peggy, could you come up and
Sure.
shake the council's hand? Thank you, Quinn and Sarah. Now we'll go to a presentation from the Metropolitan Water Board Annual Report by Neil Winterton and also Steve Brown.
Steve, did you bring the awards? We wanted to give awards to the entire community of the city of Orem for using 15% less water this last year than in the previous year. So that's a good thing. The agenda item says presentation. That may be a little overstatement of what we plan to present. We don't have a formal presentation. We wanted to just come and have a conversation. Chris Shirkey forbade me from telling a joke. Therefore, I will not tell a joke, but I will recount what we were talking about. We got a little sidetracked and we got talking about cloning. And he said, I really don't like cloning. And I said, that makes two of us. Yeah, not a joke, just a recap. Each and every one of us here probably hits a water giving mechanism about 50 times per day. And it's astonishing at what water is required to produce items. About 2,500 gallons to produce a pair of shoes that you wear, and about 25 gallons for each pound of cotton that is worn. And since we all wear close to about 35 pounds of cotton a year, that's quite a bit for just that particular commodity. I racked my brain to determine if there is any product on the earth that can be produced or manufactured or delivered without the use of water. And of course, I couldn't come up with any. The work that is done with the Metropolitan Water District today will serve people many, many years down the road. The water that we enjoy today is a result of agreements made from years and years ago, from the incorporation to the time now. Some of the water that we access through the Metropolitan Water District of Orem as a city is water that was put into conveyances and into use and place prior to Utah as a state and from the very first canal company in Utah. So we appreciate the work that the people have done in the past and the group is doing now. Steve Brown sitting here is the chairman of the board. And I will turn the time over to him to discuss a few points. Thank you.
Thanks, Neil. They never allow me to tell any jokes at all. So just a matter of reference, the board was formed in 1935. The purpose of the board is to work with the city to assure a long-term adequate supply for the city. We have 7 board members, all volunteer. They serve 6-year terms. I think we've got Liddell Gilman here tonight. He served my records are right, 10 years. We have Rick Lewis, who has served 22 years. Just recently, Jack Jones retired. He served 43 years. Alex Lott has served 10 years. I believe Chris Shirkey, Orem City's representative, has served 10 years. Tim Crandall has served about a year, new to the board. And then Carl Cook just joined the board in May. And so we're getting a little bit younger on the board than we have been. Neil has been our manager, and along with, I want to point out Ruth Ann Ivy has been our secretary. She's been the secretary for the board for 26 years, and she keeps us out of trouble. We just finished an audit. In my 9 years on the board, I've never had any exceptions in the audit at all. She does a fantastic job with the books, all the regulations and everything to keep the board compliant with the state regulations. As mentioned earlier, we work with the city to supply water. All the surface water rights are held in the Metropolitan Water District. That would include rights in Jordanelle, rights in Deer Creek, Provo River. The springs and the wells are held by Orem, and there's some legal reasons for that. The ownership of these shares, there are some that we own directly, but we have active roles in the Provo River, Provo Reservoir Company, Provo Bench Company. Neil's actually the president of the Provo Bench Canal Company. And so we have controlling interest in all those. One thing I wanted to point out that to my knowledge, we have never sold a water share. Once we acquire a water right, they're like gold, and we hold on to those. From time to time, we help out local farmers. We've helped out Linden City, Pleasant Grove, Lehigh in short-term water lease agreements where we provide water to people that are short or need water. But as Neil will testify, before I sign those agreements, I make sure that his staff is sure that Orem has a complete, very adequate supply of water. And so we never make a decision that would jeopardize the supply for Orem. I think probably the one item of significance, and I'll let Neil maybe discuss that a little bit more, is the agreement with Vineyard. And I'm sure you're all aware where that's changing. And Neil, why don't you maybe give just a brief background on that?
Yeah, we brought this before the council a couple of months ago to change the arrangement between the Orem City Metro to provide water on a wholesale basis to Vineyard, to change the method of delivery and conveyance, not the amount or the quantity, but have Central Utah Water Conservancy District convey that water from the Olmsted diversion in the mouth of the canyon through their pipelines and have it treated and delivered through their pipelines versus having Orem City deliver that through their pipelines. So it really is a good thing to have the city not deliver that water at the end point, but up in front. So
Effective
that's-
when, Neil?
It will become effective when the town of Vineyard builds and finishes their storage tank facility that's currently out for bid.
Thank you.
I think just one other item, two other items. I have one, and I bring these every year, but I have a stack of books that is sort of a history of the Metropolitan Water District through 2010. And if anyone would like one, we'll leave one here. I think I've probably given one to everybody here, but it sort of gives you a different view of the history of Orem, but it gives a lot of insight into that. And then the last thing I'd like to say, first of all, Neil does this job in addition to his regular job with no additional compensation. His staff is very helpful in helping us sort through the complexities of making decisions. And so, and I know, Neil, you wanted to acknowledge a couple people, but
Yeah, I appreciate that. One such person is Lane Gray, who has left the water section in my division and is now working as a capital projects manager. He didn't go too far, and he's going to serve us well in his capacity. But I wanted to acknowledge his 23 years as the water section manager. 20, is that right? He's going to kill me now, but he's got 33 years with the city. And I think a large portion of that has been as the water section manager. And so we've appreciated his service in the water section, and the Metropolitan Water District has looked forward to his assistance there. And I was hoping to introduce Tyler Pay. He had previous commitments. He's been named the water section manager, and he will work with me and with the Metropolitan Water District to continue the fabulous service that they provide. And I can't ever not sing their praises for the work that they do on a 24/7, 365 basis to make sure that our needs are taken care of with very high quality, very reliable supply of water.
that concludes our presentation. In case you have any questions.
I appreciate
you.
your time.
Yep,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, now we'll go into the personal appearance part of the thing. I need to read a statement. Time has been set aside for the public to express their ideas, concerns, and comments on items not scheduled as public hearings on the agenda. Those wishing to speak are encouraged to show respect for those who serve the city. Comments should focus on issues concerning the city. Those wishing to speak should be signed in before the beginning of the meeting. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. First one we have is Mara Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor and Council of Orem City, for these minutes to express our concerns. My name is Mara Garcia, and I live on 199 South Terrace Drive in Orem. I had the opportunity to express my concerns verbally and by writing in 2 meetings and by email. I would like to reiterate that Terrace Drive neighborhood is beautiful and unique. I won't list all of my concerns again at this time because I have already done that before. Even though the plan has been modified from 21 to 9 units, we will continue to oppose rezoning of this dead-end street and ask that the lots remain single dwelling residential because it's the best for our security and peace of our neighborhood. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. John Barrick. Yeah, make sure you state your name and address, please. John Barrick. Oh, just name, please.
John Barrick, 365 West, 1750 North in Orem. I'd like to thank Mayor Richard Brunst and Brent Sumner for their many years of service. In case I don't get to speak to you in a public forum while you're remaining in service. And I'd like to also say that we're excited to welcome Mayor-elect David Young and Lene Millett to our city council. I'd like to thank the city council and the mayor for hosting the State Street Master Plan meetings this last week. I think they were productive. I am grateful, even though the Imagine Orem campaign seemed a bit more like a publicity stunt. We're grateful for a microphone that allowed the residents to voice their concerns, and I think you found that they were largely concerned. I would also like to encourage the city to, as we work towards revising the State Street Master Plan or repealing the State Street Master Plan, as we redo the zoning there, to pay attention to messaging and noticing, which is required by LUDMA state law. In 2018, when the State Street Master Plan was created, in just the North Village District section, we have examined every bit of messaging and noticing. There were 2 residences within the master plan that were not noticed, and 64 other residences in the required noticing area that did not receive notices, which is a violation of state law. In addition, in 2019, when the State Street Master Plan, the parking ratios were changed, there was no messaging and noticing. Under a grammar request, the city responded that development services provided us with the following response. The meetings held on 9/4/2019 and 10/8/2019 did not require individual postcards to be mailed per state law. I would like to point out that I don't think the postcards are adequate, nor were they mailed out at that change. I would encourage you to follow the law and message and notice properly as we go forward. I would also like to express some concern regarding the University Place PD 34 zone. We know that they've acquired approximately 20 residences bordering the Hillcrest neighborhood. They've demolished approximately 12 of those. They started illegally demolishing one of those homes on November 1st without permit. They have subsequently obtained the permit and demolished the rest of that house. We know that they didn't follow the demolition requirements initially until they were stopped by the city of Orem. We know that they don't have the proper fencing permits for the fences they've erected in that residential zone, nor do the fences that they've erected meet city code, which is a detriment to the residents there. We also don't think that they are very nice to the residential neighbors. And we're wondering when the PD 34 zone expansion will come, and we're waiting, and we will be ready. Thank you for your time.
Steve Diamond, you're fine. Henry Miles? You're good? Carol?
A quick thank you to you all. I have besieged you with the problems of Terrace Drive, and we are very pleased that the developer asked to meet with us and tried to resolve our differences, which is the wonderful thing about America, that we can work together to in unity and not have any wild accusations about who's trying to take over whom. So anyway, we're grateful for this opportunity to again express our gratefulness to the Holidays for understanding the problems that would result if they put on a building of 21 units or even a building of 9 units. It would put too much burden on a dead-end street. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, now we have Mike Christensen.
We were going to do this poem. I wrote this poem to celebrate the 400th anniversary of Thanksgiving this year. And we did a version on Facebook that was a visit from Tom Turkey, to be politically correct. Now, which Tom is the turkey might be up for debate, but that's just joking. Anyway, but you're gonna see that on Facebook, and I'm gonna do this version. This is my original version. 'Twas an eve till Thanksgiving, when all through the store many patrons were shopping, making an uproar. The turkey was baking in the oven with care, in hopes that Chief Squanto soon would be there. The children were running all through the aisles, making Mom feel she was shopping for miles. With wife in her coat and me in my hoodie, as she's buying the pies, I shout, "Oh goody!" When from a high shelf, backstock comes crashing, I yell to the kids, "You'll get a thrashing!" Away from the store, we ran into Dash. In the chaos, I wondered, what on earth did we smash? Back home with our groceries, many bags full of food, I got overwhelmed. Oh, I'm not in the mood. When what to my wondering ears I should hear, the sound of a gallop coming up near. With an old feathered head so rugged and strong, he jumped off his horse and then broke into song. Dancing around, shoe after shoe. "Sir, I am Chief. How may I help you?" "Please bring our groceries in from the car. When I do it alone, it feels so far. Fill up the fridge, the counter, the table. When I have your help, I'll feel I'm able. Our turkey, our stuffing, our carrots and peas, my pumpkins, my apples. Help, won't you please? Please bake the bread and cut up the yams. Thanks for your help. I'll wash my hands. And then in a whirl, I heard on the ground the tapping and chanting and trotting around. As I looked through the window out near and far, he's loading his horse up down by the car. He was dressed all in leathers from his neck to his toes and surrounded by feathers, well, all except for his nose. A quiver of arrows he had strapped to his back. He looked like a hunter about to attack. His eyes, how they squinted, his wrinkles, how deep. His cheeks were like sandpaper. His nose was so steep. His rough, rugged mouth just straight at the edges. Oh, I thought he'd come bounding right through my hedges. He was muscular and strong, a gruff piece of work, and I grinned when I saw him, despite my own quirk. A nod of his head, a slight wave of and a bend soon helped me believe that. Can I just have a little minute, another half a minute, please? Can you just a nod of his head, a slight wave of his bend soon helped. A slight wave and a bend soon helped me believe that I was his friend. He spoke but one word and continued his help, and filled up that fridge with nary a yelp. Back on his horse and a gentle prod, he trotted away with merely a nod. He gave one more look, then tightened his grip, then sped up his pace with the snap of his whip. But I heard him cry out as he rode far away, "Good Thanksgiving to all, and be grateful and pray." Thanks, guys. It was fun.
Thanks, Mike.
You might remember I was the attempted stand-up comedian for Summerfest this year.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, so now we'll move on to the consent items. Does anybody have any issues with the consent items and would like to take them off and move them to the regular agenda? Mayor and Debbie?
Hearing none.
Are you hearing them? I guess not.
I'm good.
Okay. So
I'm good.
Can I have a, Jody, did you make that change I emailed you about? Thank you.
okay, so on the consent items, we have approval of the meeting minutes, city council meeting October 26th, and then special meeting minutes on the election canvas on November 16th. We have city manager appointments. Where we are reappointing Ross Spencer to the planning commission and adding Jim Condi as an appointment to the planning commission.
And thanking Carl, who's off. Is it Carl who's off? Is it Carl who timed off? Yes. Okay.
So
I'll move for acceptance of the consent items.
do you have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Debbie?
Is Debbie on?
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we'll move into our schedule items. Public hearing, ordinance amending portions of section 22-1-3C, enforcement and section 22-14-28F, garage sales to clarify language. Presenter is Jason Bench. It's like an hour long. Is that right, Jason?
This should be easy, 30 minutes probably. So it's very simple. This is Heather and you remember did some cleanup ordinances. These ordinances were required to go through the public hearing process. The other ones were just done by the council. So you can see these two, one changing misdemeanor to non-criminal, the other garage sale signs to accessory residential signs. So just a standard nomenclature that we've changed. So very simple.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Jason? Since this is a public hearing, we will open the public hearing, and any of those who would like to speak on this subject? I see nobody jumping to come forward, so we will close the public hearing and bring it back to the council. Do I have a motion?
I move we amend portions of section 22-1-3-C parentheses to the enforcement of section 22-14-28F garage sales to clarify language, and one who feels deeply about garage sales. I'm happy to make this motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
So Mayor, do you want to go?
Bye.
Yeah, that was an aye from the mayor. Okay, Jeff?
Aye.
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 Okay, the motion passes. So communication items. Jamie, do you have anything?
No, Mayor Pro Tem, I already covered it in our previous meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Would like to have a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is closed.